So I have two different molds in each of them have three plastics that I have them in, and the kind of baseline plastic is going to be Neo. Next up I have this Meta Essence, and then this is a Flex 1 Sea Line Essence. So this is special edition, and this is special edition. This is going to be your stock run. As far as gumminess goes, the Neo has some give to it, has some nice gumminess. I would term this similar to like old school Star Plastic. This Meta plastic also has a little bit of give to it, but it does seem to have a little bit more stiffness, especially on the rim, and it has almost these little flecks in it, which is very reminiscent of some extremely overstable discs. And then these Flex 1 Sea Line Essence, it is very gummy. So we're gonna see if Sea Line, if you make it gummy, if it makes it flippier. Here on hole 10, I'm gonna try to hit the gap with all three of these. We'll see how much they flip. The wind right now is a little bit left to right. I'm gonna start with Neo because if you're just going out and buying an Essence, this is probably the plastic you're gonna get one in. And as we all know, for me, trying to hit gaps with hyzers doesn't seem to work very well. The Mystery Box Special Edition one, that is noticeably flippier than the Meta, or than the Neo. And now the Meta. Okay, so for most slower arm speeds, that's probably what a Neo Essence is gonna fly for you like. I think the Meta, we're already learning, is more stable than your average stuff. I figured that with two of the first three of my throws out of the car hitting a tree, we didn't really have a good test of those. Especially, I think the Neo and the Meta are closer than the Neo and the Sea Line. Right now we have a swirly wind, mostly head. I'm gonna throw especially this one on hyzer because it definitely flipped more than the other two. Okay, that is very flippy. Neo next. That was a really nice flight. It wasn't what I expected the Essence to be when I first got it, but it's a very good flight. Okay, I threw that lower, harder, faster, and it did actually flip up and turn over. So I'm gonna have some more holes to test these two out, the Neo and the Meta, but for some reason, when you make Sea Line super gummy, it actually takes away a lot of the stability, which, it makes it a good mystery box item, because when you do that and you take away the stability of a disc, more people are going to be able to throw it. But when you're throwing into a headwind, you want something that's got a little bit more to it. So it is interesting to note though that this one came out fast, low, hard. It flipped up and over, turned over, faded back, and I could actually see the fade back. This one, I threw it a little bit higher and it flipped more, but when I got down here, they were both OB across the street. But the Meta was about 20 feet shorter than the Sea Line. In the same exact line, it just went shorter. So a little bit flippier, but it seems to push more. We are here at hole 9. I'm gonna set these aside for a minute and I'm going to reach in here and we're going to pull out the next mold we're going to be throwing, and that is the Method. in 3 different plastics. We have the Neo method in white, the C-Line method, not Flex 1, it's just the normal, somewhat stiff C-Line plastic, and then we have Lux Vapor, which is my favorite plastic from any company ever. So it's super great to be able to have a couple of these to throw around. The white one's a little bit more used than the other two, but I kind of know how a Neo method flies because I've had 2 of them now. So I'm gonna throw all these here, try to hyzer them off at the street. Neo first. We're going Lux Vapor. I'm gonna actually have to throw these 2 a little bit flatter just because of the wear and tear on that Neo plastic. And that's what a grip lock looks like. Shadowstone, C-Line method. That had the same amount of fade when it finished as the Neo method did, but the Neo method started on hyzer, and actually that one hit as I came across here and put it on anhyzer. So just goes to show how much more stable a Neo is. I'm gonna have to throw out some more with the Lux Vapor because I hit it. Move the methods back to the bench for a minute. I'm actually not gonna throw this one on this hole because it is this Flex 1 C-Line is a flippier plastic than either of these 2 plastics. So going back in the bag, these 2 I'm gonna throw. We're gonna see what they do here. Okay, that is a very, very nice flight. I like that. See if we can recreate it. One hole, I throw one nose up and the other one flat. The next hole, I throw one flat and the other one nose up. When am I gonna throw them both the same way? As it is though, either I'm throwing harder right now or the meta is not as overstable as when I was first testing it. So that's good to know. I think either one of those may have a spot in my bag. Last time I threw the Meta Essence, it went OB, but it is showing off right now because it's hard to get this far, especially with a fairway. And making its own birdie too. Methods are back. Stepped up to the short pad. Gonna throw all 3 of these. We have a little bit of headwind. So throw them kind of at the gap in between the telephone pole and the left wall. Very good flight. I've been working on beating that one in, so it is going to be a little bit less stable than these 2. When you hit something, it doesn't help testing purposes. Low flat beamer. Thawed out a little bit. Didn't quite get back to hyzer. It may look like the Neo is, or the Lux Vapor is more stable from those 2 throws. I threw one on slight anhyzer, one on slight hyzer. So one of those is going to fade, one of those is going to fight. We have more throws, we have more holes. I will figure out by the end of the day if Lux Vapor or if C-Line plastic is more stable. So hole 16 was never part of my disc testing regimen. I don't know why, because it really should have been, because it's wide open and it gives you plenty of space to see how the discs fly. I'm gonna throw all 6 of them from off here, and hopefully by the time we finish with 16 and 18's drives, we'll get to understand kind of where the stability in the plastic lies. I'm gonna throw all 3 of these first. I'm gonna fan grip the drivers because I don't want to go across into the street. So for someone with a little bit slower arm speed, it's probably the way your C-line, your Flex 1 C-line Essence is gonna go. It's gonna have a very nice straight finish and then a finish to it. And then if you get a Meta, I think that one a little bit harder, just a touch. I think Meta is just a wee bit more stable than brand new Neo plastic. Now, adding some plastics that we don't have in those other molds, in that other mold, the method, start with Neo C-line Lux Vapor. A little bit of a hyzer. Okay. Finished in the same place, but that one went straighter and then dumped harder. Okay, I threw that one on hyzer. But it kind of feels like a lot of the plastics will finish in a somewhat general spot for most arm speeds, but as you change plastics, your flight characteristics on how they get to those locations changes. So for instance, what I've noticed with the Neo versus the C-line versus the Lux Vapor methods is the Neo method will get there, but it's much more of a mudged, like it's more of a blurred line as it's flying. So if you put them on just a tiny bit of Annie, they actually go really straight. Whereas with the Lux Vapor, if you put it on a little bit of Annie, you'll get a nice little turn and then a fade. If you throw them flat, they'll go super straight and then dump. But on hyzer, they have the same similar flight as the Neo. And then the C-line is basically straight until it finishes its flight, and then it goes, I'm going to the ground now, and dumps. So you can, I actually bag 3 different plastics of method in my tournament bag. I have that white Neo one, I have a C-line, and I have a Lux Vapor, because they do have 3 separate flights. And even though I can kind of do the same thing with all 3 discs, not every disc is the perfect disc for that shot, if that makes sense. I know I've been talking for a long time. Let's start throwing more. The last driver throwing is hole 18. I'm gonna throw the methods first, and then I'm gonna try to actually unleash some power on the Essence. Same order we've been throwing in: Neo, C-line, and then specialty plastic. That's a very good, just straight flying mid-range for me right now. It's so workable in the woods. Currently working on beating in other plastics so that I'll have that flight for more reliability, but it takes time to beat in super durable plastics. Oh wow, went a long way left. Very similar flights. I think the Lux Vapor is just a tiny bit less stable. It's not less stable, it's just not as overstable. Such a good flight. Actually, I'm gonna throw this one right next to it so that we can hopefully have the same wind comparison. That one was a little bit more nose up, but I think that for me, the Meta just comes out of my hand a tiny bit nose up. So I think for me, it just does fly a little bit more overstable. Okay, finally threw it on enough hyzer. Yeah. As far as plastics go for Discmania, it does appear that if you're trying to get premium plastics and you're trying to get overstable plastics, your baseline like Neo or Star is going to be fantastic. But if you're looking for something with a little bit more to it, getting something like Meta or C-Line or Lux Vapor, those might be a little bit more what you're looking for in that slot. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure to comment below if you want to see more, and subscribe. It'll help you out. It'll show you the videos as soon as they are released. Until next time, guys, see you out on the course. Pure gap hitter machine. There's a method to the madness.